Okay, you're going to go live? We're streaming? We're on? Can you see me? It says I'm live. This is really strange because we have a camera over here. How does it look? How do I look, everybody? Does my hair look nice today? All right, how is everybody? This is going to be rather fun. So we're going back to Good Loving. And I just played like 5 seconds of it to make sure that the headphones work. It actually sounds really good. Hello, Keith. I'm reading everybody's names. I've got my laptop down here, so if you see me looking down, if you see me looking down, if you see me... Hello, Chasing Goats. Hello, Zach. Hello, Darko. Devon, Rob, Scott, Anita, Adam, Aaron, Ted. I need this on a screen in front of me, don't I? Stephen, Ben, Monty, Lisa, Paul... another Stephen, Martin, Dan, Andy, otherwise known as Country T, Cohen, Rob. Wow. Hello, Kim. Hello, Tim. Hello, Adam. Hello, Clint. Wonderful. Fab. Looking trim. Am I? Oh, I don't know. I live too much of a sedentary lifestyle, I think, most of the time, even though I'm insanely busy. I do spend too much time sitting in chairs or on. Recently, I've been sitting on the couch, which is very unusual for me. It's been the last couple of weeks where I actually sit back there and do emails. I feel like the artist, I feel like the artist, like being able to sit in the artist area, Anyway, so God bless it. I'm rather excited to get back to this song. Like I said, I just listened to it for like 10 seconds, and I think we left it off at a good place. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we did a wonderful job here. So let's listen to it from the top. Eric, would you go to the screen, please?
We are there.
And do you see me, or is it just this?
We see you.
Oh, so I'm in it as well? Ooh, fun. I wish I could see that. Oh, I'm going to hit my button here and have a watch. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we got nice glare off the gold and platinum records over there. Was that a good excuse for me to say gold and platinum? Here we go. So, wow, I hadn't gone back and listened to that. And let's get these files a little smaller. Okay, we'll go to the small size here. So what's interesting is we did a lot of work, as you know, to the drums. Well, that's not entirely true. When I say a lot of work, we did work to it. So let's solo the drums up. We took all of the kicks here and just bust them to one. So there's actually no all that we'd used was, and this is a really great ad for Sheps. In fact, actually, Matt, you should put a link up to Sheps omnichannel, because we've inadvertently probably really sold a lot of Sheps omnichannels here. So all all of the kick drum, EQ, compression, and everything was done with one plugin, and all of the kicks group together. So let's do a quick review of that. So we took the live kick elements, of which there was 3. Then there was a sample of its kick itself, the actual kick that was recorded on the day, blended in. So here's what we did. I think this is the big differentiator for me, that 4 dB bump. If I turn that off, you know what, let's just turn off the EQ entirely and have the whole EQ compression and everything off entirely. It's pretty awesome what it's doing there. I'll listen to it a couple more times. I'm also going to mute the kick verb. Pretty fantastic. I think the same was true of the snare. We had a lot of different snares that we were using. We also printed reverbs and room mics. We went nuts on this. Absolutely nuts. So there is like the SPX90 and the room from the actual studio. The snare samples was actually from the studio itself. So it's pretty nutty. Turn the reverb off, and again, only the snare omnichannel. Now, a ton of bleed in there, but I'm absolutely fine with the bleed. We went pretty crazy on it. So again, really the only thing there was as I was doing some low boost on this D28, which I brought down an octave. So this is actually an octave lower. So it's a snare that I brought down an octave for body. Have a listen. Now, if you're an Academy member, you know you can download. Oh, there you go. So Matt put up a link to the omnichannel there. Look, this is not an ad for the omnichannel. We do this where we will mix using anything, because we're using some Waves, we're using some Avid plugins, we're using all kinds of different companies. I just wanted to, as you know, we do a lot of these live streams, and every single time I do a live stream, I want to do it in a different way. I don't want to mix the drums the same way. I don't want to mix the song the same way. Because yes, you can have a template, and I think it's kind of cool if you learn, you know, and you get something together and you get a template. I love that idea, but at the same time, I want you to be able to know that there is no one way to mix. Because if there was one way to mix, we'd only be one mixer, and he or she would be mixing every single song in the history of the world. Now, all joking aside, in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was only like 5 people mixing every record, which is why everybody says all the records sounded the same, because it was the same people working on them. So yes, there's definitely a bit of that. But in the world that we live in now, it's absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing time where you have access to all of those tools, because we all know that that was a big part of being a mixer, was the fact that you had the budget to walk into a room that had an SSL console, that had really beautiful monitors, that had outboard equipment, and that you couldn't compete. How could somebody compete with that at home? They couldn't. Now look at it. Please, Eric, go back to the screen. Now we have all of these. We have like access to all of this stuff. It's so amazing. So what we do every time we do these live streams is we basically show that there's a different way to mix every single time. So I'm really, really excited. Now, the reverb we used on the snare was really fun. We used this, and I have been asked by many Academy members to try this out, and it was in our arsenal, and we did get it. We got it, but we didn't get to use it. And I kept on just going to my old favorites, which, to be frank, was a lot of the time was just the free one that came with Avid. And so I finally got to use this beautiful plugin. And I absolutely love this. And I know they do sales on it. I don't know if they got a sale on it on the moment, but just pick it up. It's so good. That's another one. Could you, yeah, put up a link to this one. Look, listen to the reverb on this. Now, I didn't do any top or bottom cut. I didn't do any high or low passing. It just defaulted to sounding great. It's on. It's so good. It just feels like, wow, I have access to Abbey Road's chambers. Wow, you know what I mean? What SSL is this? It's actually it's funny you should ask. It's a combination of 4 and 6,000. It's got bits of a 4,000 and bits of a 6,000. Okay, and then the toms, we did exactly the same thing. It's just on our tom bus, we just used a Waves REQ. We didn't even do any reverbs or anything on it. Now the ride. I didn't do anything to the ride. It's all that's happening now is the ride and the overheads, no EQ. Okay, the guys are watching saying they're not having any audio sync issues. So I've kept all of those overheads, those rides, everything sounding pretty natural. I did a tiny bit of lo-fi on the hi-hat just to get rid of the high end. This, I think, is the most drastic thing we did. So what we did is we took the rooms. The thing about hybrid is that the hybrid studios, this room is a really, really good sounding, very, very even room. It's super, super even. I mean, God bless it. It's really even. The only issue with that is, it doesn't sound that big. So what I did is I trimmed, because we were printing a little low on one side on this mic, unfortunately. That was a mistake on my end. I should have printed a little hotter. So I used 6 dB gain on there. So it's up on one side. So it's printing pretty evenly now. But I EQ'd, and this is typical for me on room mics, is I took out the low end, and I removed some low mids as well. But this was the secret weapon. So I blended in, it's like 20, it says here 23% of a 3/4 of a second decay reverb. Let's listen to it on and off. Here's with it off. It's a nice, accurate stereo representation of the room. Now let's put on the Valhalla. It's pretty awesome. You know, I really feel like we're showcasing some really special plugins here. I mean, so far this has been the main elements of our mix. Have just been 3 plugins. 3 plugins. We could have done this EQ here, for instance, inside, and you could use you could use the stock EQ here, and of course the trim comes free with the DAW. All I did was turn up the left-hand side on the rooms that were printed slightly unevenly. Now, this EQ here, we probably could have done with any generic EQ, or we could have done some EQ stuff inside of the plugin itself, inside of Valhalla. They have some really great EQ moves there. I love the fact that you can do this. Not all plugins can do this, but the ones that you can, it's like, how awesome is that? So you can just like look at it and go, oh, okay, what do I want to do? And get into really detailed stuff. Anyway, so far this mix has been about 3 plugins. It has been predominantly initially about the omnichannel. Like absolutely amazing. That was our kick drum sound. No other plugins were used except for one plugin, and all of my elements of the kick drum were done with the omnichannel. The same thing can be said of the snare here. The snare reverb is this. So this is our second plugin. And the third plugin that really is making this mix interesting for me is the Valhalla. So really, so far, you could mix these drums with just those 3 plugins because that EQ can be stock. Now, this room here, I did a different thing. So I trimmed it ever so slightly. Or did we do it? No, I think we didn't even do that. Oh, yeah, we did. We turned up the right-hand side ever so slightly just to even it out. So we've evened that side out slightly. We've got the same kind of EQ. We've got a dip on the low mids and a dip on those super lows. Now, the reason why I high pass the super lows is I don't want the kick drum to get too much low-end information from multiple sources. It will just turn into mud. High passing your low end in different sources out of the way of the kick drum inside of the drum kit is really, really important. Really, really super important. I highly recommend it. It's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Oh, thank you ever so much. Sean says, please take like and share, subscribe, and hit the bell thingy. Thank you, Sean. Obviously, if you haven't already, please like. And if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. It's been so wonderful having this incredible community and watching it grow over the last 4 years of doing this has been, we've had a slow, steady grow over 4 years. You know, we're not a flash in the pan. We're not going anywhere. We do this every day. As soon as we finish this, we've got to recall a mix. So, that's what we do. And it's really exciting. Okay, now, what after this? So please hit that like button if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Okay, so after that, I've got a de-esser on it. And the reason why I have a de-esser on it is I'm trying to kill some of the excessive cymbal bleed. Let's go to a section that has a ton of... So you see this here? Hear that cymbal wash. But the secret weapon for me was adding the saturation. The saturation from the lo-fi soaks up those cymbals. I'm going to turn it off and have a listen. So basically now that room mic is only cymbals. The 2 sets of rooms, the room 1 was low down, room 2 was higher up, and of course the higher up brings in more cymbals. So turn on the saturation and you get this. Oh, we got dislikes from the experts? Yes. I was really surprised because we on Shelley's video yesterday. Did you guys and girls all get to watch that? How amazing is that? It's great to have access and be friends with people that have recorded these amazing songs, so we can listen to the song and listen to the multi-tracks and like get the actual like stories of how they were done and how they were recorded, rather than an opinion on it, but actually have the guy who did it. It was phenomenal. And obviously the Foo Fighters one with Bradley was amazing. But to have Shelley, who's one of my long times, it was just really, really wonderful to have him do that. So thank you, Shelley, ever so much. And if you haven't, please check out yesterday's video and give it a bit of love. Give it a like and a comment would be absolutely amazing. I really appreciate it because I want to do more with Shelley. He's such a sweetheart and he's so underrated is the worst word ever because that sounds like He's not that. He's just not. He's not given enough due because he's such a mellow, sweet guy. And then you look at his discography and go, "Holy cow! He's done all these records I love." Not to mention Making Movies by Dire Straits, which is one of my favorite albums. Okay, so getting back to this, the saturation. You can hear how much of a huge difference it did. It's getting all distorted and trashy, but I like it. I like it. Okay, next up is there was a mono room mic, and all I did was use this. Plug-in number 4 that's really special. Do you remember I reviewed this? It's a German guy. Those of you that can speak a little bit of German will know that Klang is sound and Helm is helmet. So basically that's Sound Helmet, just a great name for a plugin. And his company, sorry, is Klang Helm, so Sound Helmet. And I went to the hi-fi, so I kept it bright, and I put the drive at maximum, and I had the sidechain low down. And then I hit it pretty hard. Have a listen. It's just basically a lot of snare hitting out and not much dynamics. It's too dynamic, sorry, not much. It's too dynamic is what I meant to say. So now, listen to what it did. It makes that snare, oing, 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 gives it some pizzazz, some, what do you call it, Eric? What do you call it? Huevos. Yeah, huevos. Yeah. Yeah, baby, some huevos. Okay, just made it, like, it's not very loud, but it's just like, you can hear it. It's like, it's the angry mic. All right, and then the mono room. I actually left some of the low end in. I'm going to take it out and see how it feels like. I'm going to listen to that in the context of the drum mix. I'm leaving it in bypass. It doesn't make a huge difference, just a subtle difference. Okay, and then what was next was these were actually printed live off the console. So an SPX 90 and a Lexicon 480L. Have a listen. The toms are printed super hot inside of that. And I'm tempted, like, do I leave that in? The oom. It's kind of wrong, but I'm going to leave it in. And then we overdubbed some cymbal hits just to bring out exaggeration. It's just for the drama on the top of the chorus. Okay, so then, and this is what's fun, is we've got two Shep's omnichannels here. One soft and one aggressive. And when I left it off, I'd said to myself, I want to go back and listen and see whether I went too crazy. So at the moment, this is the mix without them on. She gives me good loving. Good loving. She gives me good loving. Good loving. Baby, don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind. She puts food on my plate. I know kiss and she hugged me. She gives me good loving. So, let's listen to just the main one. So this is just the main one. It's in bypass at the moment. Let's have a listen. All right, now I'm going to put it on. I like it. It's controlling the low end on the kick nicely. You can see that the kick's probably a little mixed, a little loud. Most of the gain reduction is happening on the kick, but it's nice. But this is where it gets fun. And I've got a tiny bit of distortion. Just put it on ever so slightly. And I'm also running a tiny bit of 20. I basically high passing ever so slightly. Now this one is where we had some fun. This one we are getting, we're getting a little bit of, we did a tiny bit of 350 cut, but listen to how amount of compression we got going. So what I was talking about, and I talked about this with Shelley and with Jack and a bunch of other people, there was this sort of idea of this New York compression. And so I asked them about the New York compression, and they were like a little clueless. They're like, yeah, they'd heard it. They said, but they didn't used to like EQ the parallel differently to the main one because it would cause like polarity issues. So they'd never do that. So I've taken that word of advice because it always used to work with me. I'd never, if you EQ it differently, then blend it back in, you get this kind of weird phase polarity issues, regardless of whether you're on a console or not. So I tend to treat both of them with the same kind of EQ. And all I did really was like squash the schnizzle out of this mic. So on the parallel, it's really aggressive. Then I blended it back in with the other sheps, and this is what I got. And it just gives it that energy. So what I'll do is I'll mute it, and you can hear it come in and out, and you'll just hear it, that extra level of aggression. I mean, you can hear a massive difference. And it's not just volume. Obviously, it's going to get a little louder. It's not just that. You actually hear more like, going on, more aggressive sounds. Okay, next up was the tambourine, the shaker, and of course, talking to Shelley Yakis, more cowbell. So let's have some fun with it. I think with this tambourine, what I often do is I put a lo-fi on it, but I'm not going to do that this time. But I am going to put a reverb, and maybe we'll do something like a mono-verb, like something just to... I don't know if I want it to be expansive and huge. I just want something to go on top of that, on top of that instrument, it's on top of that snare, basically. So what can we find as a mono? You know what, I'm just going to go free, comes with Pro Tools, and I'm going to go to a plate, and we can keep it a couple of seconds, but obviously we'll reduce the dry and the wet so it's here. Let's have some fun with this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the R comp. Here, and I'm going to hit it a lot harder. Now, the way this defaults in the R comp here gives us a nice little time for the attack to go through. So it gets pa, pa. And I think that's really helping that's going to help our tambourine cut through. So let's... I like that a lot. Okay, let's go to the shaker. Now, traditionally, I learned this from Jack Douglas. Always pan your shaker away from your hi-hat. Because if you've got a hat going like... you don't want a hi-hat and a shaker to be playing over the top of each other. So that's a total Jack Douglas thing. Thank you, Jack. Pan it away from your hi-hat. I got a little carried away with the volume there. Got to be careful when you're soloing things very high pitched, is that you fall in love with them, your ears get used to them, and then you realize that they're now the loudest thing in the mix. I think, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm super sensitive to high end being like, oh, like brittle. I think that's the sort of mixer ears. We hear shakers and tambourines like probably louder than normal human beings do, because they're just like super, super loud and piercing. And you know, if I'm soloing it, I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then I put it in the track and I'm like, yeah, it's great. And then the next day I'm listening to it going, why is the shaker 6 dB louder than everything else? Another thing we could do with this tambourine, for instance, is trash it out a little bit. So after that attack, you know, I'm actually going to square off the attack. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to square it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get something cheap, like the lo-fi, and just trash it out a little bit. I'm not going to throw a J37 or a Kramer or something like that. I'm not going to put something really expensive. I'm just going to use a cheap, quick way of distorting it. Nope, that's not working. It's too aggressive. As soon as you bring it on, I hate it. It's just too much. So I am gonna have to throw a little bit of extra dollars at it. Now, don't get me wrong. The plugin I'm going to choose, and you know which one I'm going to go, is the MJUC. And this plugin is $27 last time I checked. Highly recommend it. We should do a giveaway. What are we giving away? What are we giving away? Are we giving away... what course are we giving away? Okay. Yeah, that's darkened it up enough. So I've kind of done things that seem a little counterintuitive, and that's just the way it is. I've exaggerated the peak, then pushed it into this, and I think it's a nice balance. Now, it's one of those things. I could turn off the R comp and maybe treat it like that, but I think I like the exaggerated attack from the R comp hitting this a little harder. That's just me. There's a million different ways of doing this. Okay, now I'm going to go to the cowbell. That needs some love. I'm going to copy this MJUC down onto the cowbell. And let's put it into solo. We don't only work in solo, but we're soloing a lot so that everybody following can understand what we're doing. I've watched some videos, and I know everybody's an expert, so I don't want to get into too much of this stuff. But I watched some videos, and they're afraid to solo now because they're going to get, trash going, oh, you shouldn't solo. Yeah, you should solo. Soloing is okay, but you need to do it with a purpose. Don't mix in solo, then expect it to sound good together. Listen to the whole drum kit, for instance, and then when you hear an issue or you want to improve something, then you can solo, find out where the frequency is that's bothering you, and then take it out. That's what it is. It's just about working on the song as a whole and going into it. But also, when you're trying to do tuition videos like we're doing here and mixing live, it is important for me to be able to solo and show you what I'm doing. So I literally just copied this plugin down. Here it is in bypass. Immediately better. So the question is, do we want to put a little tiny bit of verb? Let's grab, maybe let's grab our tambourine reverb and adjust it slightly, make it super short. Cymbals are going crazy there, but it doesn't bother me. I think in an automating mix, we might push these cymbals down a little bit and bring the snare up a little tiny bit, but I like it. Now, because the tambourine and the cowbell are playing quite often, let's just bring the tambourine slightly left and the cowbell ever so slightly right. Now, this is subtle. It probably will still sound like it's in the middle, but let's just do that. Now we can throw in the bass. Let's go back and talk about what we did on the bass. So we have a bass DI here. This is a great refresher. I love doing this for everybody. So we're going to give away the Bradley Cook course. We're going to give away 3 copies. This is so if those of you watched the video he did. Now Bradley, as I'm sure you're very aware, was the engineer on the Foo Fighters' second album. He also did one of my favorite records, Counting Crows, Recovering Satellites, which is a masterpiece. He's also the engineer on that. He also was engineer for Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, he has an amazing resume. He works every day in LA. He's over at Eric Valentine's studio, Barefoot recording almost all the time. Phenomenal engineer and mixer, and a great guy. So what we did is we went into the studio for 2 days and recorded him recording a band. And there's a lot of analog gear, a lot of twisted, distorted mic pre's, and just generally a lot of fun. But the best thing, of course, is the song's great. The band sound a little bit like the Stooges, and I know I get asked a lot about punk rock stuff. So if you're interested in something a bit more punk rock, and I mean that not full-blown punk and not full-blown rock, but somewhere in the middle like the Stooges, this band's perfect for you. No auto-tune. It's recorded off of tape, off of a Scully machine, so you're going to get the sound of tape, and of course it's all in your DAW, so you can mix it to your heart's content. He mixed it on a console, you can mix it in a box. He mixed it on Eric Valentine's UTA consoles, the Undertone audio consoles. It's a lot of fun. He also used you'll get to hear a lot of the Undertone audio gear because, of course, the Unfairchild is being used on it. You'll see it in the video where they use that, where they use the Scullys, where they use that. It's a really informative video. For those of you that want to mix something like meaty, punk, but rock, have it in your resume. Show people just how how good you are as a mixer of that genre. Remember, all of the multi-tracks that we give away and that we sell. So the ones that we give away inside of the Academy and that we sell on ProMix Academy are all available for you to build your resume. So if you're not already an Academy member, you can join us over there. And if you want this course, it's still at an introductory price until Friday of $47. And Matt will put a link up to that if he hasn't. It was in the email for those of you that didn't get it. Bradley's amazing. We're definitely going to do more stuff with him. Okay, and what do I want to know? Because this is a chance to win it. I don't know. Let's go off on a completely different tangent. Who's your favorite engineer? Who is your favorite engineer? I just love to know who do you listen to? I'm not talking about producers. There can be a producer as well. Who's your favorite engineer? Whose work do you admire? When you listen to a record or a song or whatever, you go, wow, I love the recording. Who is it? Who is that favorite person? I would love to know. That would be absolutely amazing. Let me know. Who is your favorite engineer? Would love to know that. That would be amazing. So what did we do on the bass? On the bass, we took everything above 250 off. So the DI. This is on the DI. Have a listen. Now let's hear it without the EQ on. Lots of Jeff Emmerichs, lots of Eddie Kramers, lots of Al Schmitz, Ryan Hewitt, David Hewitt, been in Mick Gazowski, Alan Parsons. It's very kind of you to say me. Michael Brower, more Eddie Kramers, Flood, that's a good one. Bob Robb, Matt Lang, Ryan Green. Don't have one, says Devon. Jeff Emmerich, and you're very, very kind. Brendan O'Brien, Frank Zappa. Steve Albini, Phil Ramone, Andrew Sheps, Steve Albini, Eddie Kramer, Bruce Swedian, Brendan O'Brien. You're very kind, M Mixing. Brendan O'Brien. George Martin, of course. Oh, I'm glad, Emily, you like the Bradley Cook course. Yeah, the engineers are huge parts of it. Can't choose Bob Clearmountain. Yeah, incredible. Prince, Cameron Webb. Oh, nice. Bob Rock, Brian Charles. Trina Shoemaker. Yeah. And the winner was, Flood and Mark Ellis. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Nice choice. All right, let's go back to this. So, this is the before. It sounds good. But the thing about DIs in most situations is they have the best low end because they're less likely to have distortion on them. They're best likely for the speaker to distort, the amp to overdrive. So they're the best source of low lows. Now, the bass cab here, I'd got 2 iterations of it, but here's the bass cab, and I've done the opposite EQ. So like 275, whatever, is gone. So it's all just the high mids and above. And then the cab itself is duplicated, got the same EQ, and then I'm using a Sans amp. So all 3 elements together give us this, which I love, quite frankly love it. Put the drums in. I'm not sure what the lesson is, secret weapon on this one. The lesson obviously is choose one source for the bass and use it for the low end. Why? Well, You can use Time Adjuster here. You can use all kinds of fancy plugins to get the waveforms to feel like they are perfectly in phase. But I don't honestly give a schnizzle about what plugin you use. Ultimately, different sources recorded with different time issues are always going to have different phase. When you get a DI and you get an amp, putting a mic in front of an amp and a DI is never going to give you exactly the same waveform. And if you really want to manipulate it, sure. But the best way to get really, really excellent phase, great polarity in your bass is going to be you using only one source for the low end. And that's why I EQ out all of the high mids and above on the bass, DI, and then on the cab, the opposite. Because here's my bass DI once more. Here's my bass cab on its own. Here's the bass cab duplicate with the Sans amp. Put the DI and all of the elements together and you get... Hello, Ontario Institute of Audio Recording. I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with you. Thanks for getting on the email. And then the bass sub is literally me boosting some high mids. 3K is pretty typical for me. I'll quite often do 750, 1K, 1.5 as well. But in this instance, there was enough personality being produced by those individual elements. It was pretty fantastic. It's interesting, putting it on the bass against this. Much better hearing it like that. This is what's great about making sure you're always going back and referencing stuff against each other. Now, with the guitars, we should probably just mute these DIs so they don't accidentally get turned on. With the guitars, I haven't done any EQ or anything to them. These are exactly how I printed them. And I printed them with little or no EQ. The main guitar amp is actually my Roadie amp, which is the Carl Martin. Yeah, Andrew, that's going to come. We're going to do a video on that. It's really interesting because there's so many. Somebody put one up in the Academy the other day, an Academy Facebook page with some boosts and cuts of certain frequencies, and there was just some really, and it's a huge company that did it, and I'm not trying to be negative about anybody and pick on anybody, but there was some pretty conflicting information in there. You know, I've learned from doing this what I like to boost and cut and what I like to exaggerate, and then from consoles and also from, frankly, sitting behind a lot of people and with a lot of amazing producers and engineers. I mean, some of my best friends are the biggest guys in the world, and not just like the 90s, 2000-y guys, but, you know, like myself, but people that came before us that invented it. And that's the reason why you'll see me referencing the Jeff Emmerichs and the Jack Douglases and the Shelley Yakuses and the Roy Cicalas, because they were the pioneers. They were making records in the late 60s, the 70s, and early mid-80s that shaped what our music industry so incredibly, you know. So for me, it's really, really important to go to those guys. Bob Clearmountain as a mixer in the 80s was just like, even now, don't get me wrong, but in the 80s was just inventing how you mix. And those are the people I look up to, you know. It's like it's before it became a factory, you know. It was when it was still an art form, and guys would spend days mixing and recording, and it's just a beautiful thing. Okay, so this guitar has no EQ, no compression, nothing on it. The keys, no EQ, no compression, nothing on it. what I do have is I have duplicate files. So for those of you in the Academy that have downloaded this, this is just a reminder. There are duplicate files, and the duplicate files were done originally, and if you watch my mix breakdown of the one in the Academy, to put effects on. But of course, make sure you watch this as well, because then you'll find a place that feels good for you. Okay. Now, this, I don't remember the mic. Do you remember the mic? There's a video on this recording, isn't there? Could you find it, please, Eric? The video on the recording at Hybrid Studios, Robert John the Rec. There is a video on this recording, which Eric will put up as well. And what is interesting about it is I don't remember the vocal mic we used. I can't remember if I brought my 47 with me, or did we come back and redo the vocal here? I can't remember if we did the vocal here or there. I feel like we did it there because we were there. The first album I did with them, we did at my old studio. The second album I did with them, we did at Sunset Sound in one day, the whole album. And then the third album we did at Hybrid over like 5 days. Got me a woman who treats me right, goes to work in the morning, gives me loving at night. I've got me a bunny, she's sweeter than honey. She don't want no silver, she don't take my money. My baby don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind, she puts food on my plate. I know that she loved me the way that... The guitars, there was no compression on the guitars because there was enough overdrive, so there was no real reason to compress it. When a guitar's super overdriven, you can't really... There's no peaks to control, so there's no reason to compress. I also find that sometimes if I overly compress already distorted sounds, they get tiny sounding. I've got me a woman who treats me... The thing about the keys is it was a Nord, and the thing with the Nord is the sounds are very processed. So that reverb was printed from the Nord itself. And the same with this as well. This is one of the beauties of working with, instruments like this. So that verb was printed from the keyboard. This is something I learned very early on. It was actually working with Dave Jerden. So Dave Jerden is a very good friend of mine, as I'm sure you know. We've done lots of stuff together, and we actually got a new video coming out, so stay tuned for that. But the thing about Dave is that he is a fan of music, and he likes rock, yes, but he likes edgy rock. He likes, he's not going to do like a mainstream metal record. He's not going to do an album where all the drums are like tick 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 and all the guitars are like, and then there's the solos. It's just not, and then the vocals are like, wah! That's not his thing. He comes from a point of view like many of us that he loves all kinds of music. He just tends to lean a little bit more rock. So when you listen to like Alice in Chains, the first two albums he did, or the first two Jane's Addiction records that he did, they are really super, super creative. And they don't follow any traditional stuff. Now, he was really into doing like big sounds. But the thing I learned from him when I was not engineering with him, but when I was being a musician with him, because he recorded me, is I would say to him, I would get all nervous. I'm walking into a room with a guy who's made like some of my favorite ever albums. And I walk into the room and I say, do you want me to use my delay pedal? Do you want me to use my reverb pedal? Do you want me to use my chorus pedal? Do you want me to use this amp or that amp or this or that? And he just said to me, give me your guitar sound. So I had the effects printed on it. The thing with Steve, this is Steve Magora, for those of you that are in the Academy, know this is the keyboard player, Steve Magora. He's not even the singer. He's a phenomenal singer. He does the harmonies, and he's an incredible musician. So he's playing these keys, and he is a master of the keys. So when he gives me sounds, he gives me the sounds the way that he loves them with the effects on it. One of the biggest mistakes we make, especially as a young producer, engineer, mixer guy, one of the biggest mistakes I made was to change everybody's sound because I thought I had to have it all in control inside of the computer. Or all like, I didn't need it on the tape because I wanted to be able to trigger my really expensive, I might be in an expensive studio for one day because that's all the money we had. And we had Lexicon. So I felt like I had to use the Lexicon reverb on the guitar. I had to use this. And that was the biggest mistake I made. And instead of having like really cool guitar sounds, which sounded like Daniel Ash or, one of these left of center guitar players that just were phenomenal, or Robert Smith's guitar tones, which are amazing. They were using like cheap gear and H&H IC100 amps for anybody who knows what that is. That's Daniel Ash's guitar sound. It's phenomenal. It's totally wrong, but it's his sound. Imagine if I was like, oh no, Daniel, you shouldn't be using your H&H IC100. You need to use this vintage blah, 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 that costs $10 billion and it's handcrafted by, Peruvian blah, blah. It doesn't matter. That's his sound. So my long story is to say, Steve does all the work. Steve comes in with great keyboard sounds. He has reverb the way he wants to hear it, and I just capture it. Listen to it in the context of the song with that verb.
Don't take my money. She gives me good loving. Good loving. She gives me good loving. Good loving. My baby don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind. She puts food on my plate. I know
Oh, I love the PV Bandit. Love the PV Bandit. Yeah, that's my first main amp that I actually thought was a good amp. The first really good amp, because for those of you from Europe and maybe particularly United Kingdom, do you remember the worst amp I ever had? Was my first amp was the FAL, FAL, Futuristic Aids Limited. That's what the company was called, FAL. And it was a bass amp, and it had volume, treble, and bass. But it was all I could afford. It was like £20 from a friend of mine. And I used a Carlsberg Suzz pedal into it, and that was my guitar sound. I didn't have a tube amp. My guitar was built by me and my father. We built it. And when I say me and my father, I mean my father, my father, my father, my father, and maybe I sanded something. So my dad built it for me. And yes, I wanted to be Brian May. And I had this FAL. Then I started playing in club bands and making a little bit of money. And I bought a PV Classic 65. That amp was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And it was weird going, interesting, I should say, not weird, but interesting going to hang out with Joe Barresi. And Joe Barresi has an amazing amp collection. And that guy has more PV amps than I think PV do. It was really fantastic to sit there. And let's not forget that inarguably one of the greatest rock amps ever made is PV's version of the Eddie Van Halen amp. I know guys that love that amp, guys and girls that think that is the best guitar amp ever made. Again, so yes, PV amps, Yamaha guitars, we're just talking, these are the things that we could afford as kids, and now we realize these were companies were making equipment that was affordable and sounded fantastic. So God bless the PV amp. Okay.
Don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind. She puts food on my plate. I know that she loves me the way that she does me. Sweet little angel. She kisses and she hugs me. She kisses and she hugs me. She gives me good loving. Good loving.
So I'm on the fence with the backgrounds. on the fence. They sound really good, you know, dry. As you can see, every member of the band sang on this. Steve is doing backgrounds, Chris, the guitar player, is doing backgrounds, and Dave, the bass player. So we did them as individuals. They could be, you know, quite honestly, they could have been done as a gang, but I wanted to have some individual elements to kind of mess with afterwards. Let's put a Valhalla on it. Let's go for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bus them all together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create those as a bus. I mean, this mix is very simple. There's a lot of elements, but it's very simple. You think of the amount of plugins we have on it. It's definitely in the recording. If you're an Academy member, which many of you are here, please make sure you download this one. I really would love. We should probably, frankly, Eric, we should probably make sure that we incorporate some of these mixes everybody's doing in our next Feedback Friday. For those of you that are mixing this song, it's not that, you know, obviously this month's song is a different one, but I want to make sure that we incorporate it because this is a wonderful song, and it really speaks to, like, speaks to, like, recording it the way that we want to hear it. Okay, so BVs. So it's our BV sub here. So this is just all of the backgrounds together. I'm going to make a group of all of them. I'm not sure if we have one, but I'm going to do it anyway. I always do all in capital letters because then I can quickly see. Because if I see like AL or something, yeah, just make sure it's in capital. And if I haven't done it in capital letters, that's foolish of me. Okay.
Loving,
and then there's a little. Now you'll notice with the backgrounds, and this is important, I didn't pan them super, super wide. Even though there's a lot of voices, I don't want it to sound like, it's not Queen. This is not Queen. This is, and Queen, as you know, are my favorite band. So when I say not Queen, that's fine. Klaus, the Produce Like a Pro and Pro Mix Academy are two different companies. But if you want to, Klaus, aren't you already a member of Produce Like a Pro? And maybe it's a different Klaus. You can write to us at support and we'll figure it out. So just write to us and say that you texted me here. Okay, so the... So what I don't want to go crazy on this. What I was saying is, like, I didn't do super wide. It's not Queen. It's supposed to be like a band standing around microphones playing live. What's up with the 3 channels of H3000? I'm not sure what that means. Do you mean what are the 3 channels of H3000? I'm assuming English is not your first language, but it's a vocal thickening trick. I would highly suggest you go and check it out. Maybe Eric, can you find the vocal thickening trick and post that? All right, so what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I really want to do much in the way of EQ and compression. I think the only EQ I'm going to do is take off some low-lows. And then, I don't know, do I want to boost a bit of high mids? Maybe, just let's have a listen. So that's a tiny bit. Now, what I really want to do, to be honest, is probably probably take off high highs and distort it a little bit. So I'm going to give this a little bit. I'm actually going to go to about 5K-ish. And probably just, what do we want to do? What should we use for this? I don't know if I want to spend a lot of money on this plugin. You know, I want to give it a little bit of drive. There you go, the vocal thickening trick. So you'll see what the H3000 is doing. Hey, Ken. I understand you. Life always gets in the way, my friend. Okay, so, I mean, everybody is raving about the J37. Well, you know what? So this is not a cheap way of doing this. So the opposite. But let's see what it does. First thing I'm doing here is using a bit of high pass. And low pass. So I've gone up to down to about 4.5K and up to 140. Let's go to 7 eps. Oh yeah. So I like this idea. As you drive it hard, it brings the level down, so they're linked. Let's try it in bypass. It's kind of nice. Okay, so a bit of tape drive. I actually like it. Okay, so and then you've got different tape formulas here. Oh, I like that a lot. Oh, that's fantastic. Look, I know we're listening in solo, so it's kind of pointless, but let's have a listen to it. Love it. I love it. Okay.
Gives me good loving. Good loving. She give me good loving. Good loving. My baby don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind. She puts food on my plate. I know that she loves me.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt or somebody can find you a link to the J37.
She puts food on my plate. I know that she loves me the way that she does me. Sweet little angel, she kisses and she hugs me. She kisses and she hugs me. She gives me good loving. Good loving. She gives me good loving. Good loving.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David of the Workday release with a haircut. I mean, it's the same haircut, but it's a shorter version of the same haircut. And he brought me coffee. Hey, Clay. David quickly ran away when he saw there was a camera on. He ran. He's camera shy, obviously. That's why he always does videos with us, because he's camera shy. Well, that makes no sense. So, just so you know, next week we're putting out a video with Ariel Showbaz. Ariel, I think Michael's already announced this. So Ariel did his own mix, unattended, on his own interpretation of the mix for the remix competition. So what's going to be exciting, because there's still going to be another week or two after that, you can watch that. So if you haven't already, please download the multi-tracks, and you can watch Ariel next week mix the song. And that way you can see, is there anything you want to learn from the way he's mixing? Is it going to help you with the vocals? Is there a different thing? It's his own version of it. So it's going to be really, really exciting. So if you haven't already, download those multi-tracks. Yeah, good luck on that. It's going to be a wonderful one. It looks like there's like 900 entries so far. I haven't looked at it today. How many people do we have on Rate My Mix at the moment? Look, it's David.
Swing Studio, baby.
I know, look at it. Finally, we got it figured out.
Did you just pray? Did it work?
Well, what was interesting is, do you know what happened? No. I sat down with it, and Phil, look at that. Eric's like, no, it's still not working. And I was like, yeah, but does it take a while to refresh? And then we sat there for 5 minutes, and it went pixelated, 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 pixelated. High quality. Just takes the magic touch. But the biggest deal, no, actually the biggest deal, shout out to Rob, the new kid, is look, it's changing the aspect ratio of this. So this is like not how I view it on the main screen. So the aspect ratio is now better for that. And so it's a combination of the two. It's patience and aspect ratio. Rob, yeah, woo! New kid, everybody. New kid.
Eric, I helped too.
Right? Eric's like, I helped between October and now. Yeah, I helped, yeah, woo!
He just knew he had to wait for Rob to get here.
I know. Rob is here to save the day. Okay, so we have 917 people. If you haven't already, download those multi-tracks to enter. The video's coming out of REO Showbaz. Sorry for indulging us. Okay, we have 2 more giveaways to do. Okay, so we did favorite engineer. How about just mixer? Do you have a favorite mixer? We're doing a completely different thing. This is to win a copy of Bradley Cook's new course, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't bought it, please buy it between now and Friday, because we're still doing it at only $47, the introductory price. And the question is, yes. The question is, who is your favorite mixerizer? Who's your favorite mixerist? How about that? Does that sound good? Who's your favorite mixer? I think some people were actually talking about mixers as well anyway, but who is your favorite mixer? And if you haven't already picked up the course and you don't win it, buy it. And remember, the last one I'm going to do in 15 minutes, the last giveaway we're going to do, is also going to be for a year's membership to the Academy. And there is many amazing people on here that are members of the Academy. Okay, so what have we done? We did that. I still think I want to put a little bit of verb, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another. I'm just going to create its own little reverb here. I mean, I'm tempted to just throw the Abbey Road reverb at it because we know it sounds phenomenal. But, you know, that means we're throwing all the big guns. But why not? You know what? Let's do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and use one of the plates because we haven't done the plates yet. So BV verb. So this is the background verbs. I'm sending from the bus itself. And let's choose a reverb. Now, I'm really excited because I haven't actually used the Waves plates. And there was a discussion inside of the Academy just yesterday. Actually, it's been the last few days. Everybody's been asking about whether they would use, if they were buying it, would they buy the plates first or the chambers? And I said I only use the chamber, and I love it. But here you go. Here is the Abbey Road plate.
Love it.
Wow. So it's already set to 100% wet. So there's our input here. Treble, bass cut. I'll leave it flat for the time and let's see what he does. So we're going to select just the plates first of all. So this is A.
Love it.
Wow, it's crunched. Let's bring the output down a little bit. Sorry, input down a bit.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
All right, we'll go to B.
Love it. Love it.
Kind of like that. C.
Love it. Love it.
And D.
Love it. Love it.
So I want to try some of these things. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to pre-fade here. So you see I clicked on pre-fade so I can only listen to the reverb. So this is just the reverb. I like that one best. It's sort of naturally already dark. I'm going to leave the pre-delay off. But I'm going to drive it harder. And I'm going to try this analog control. Let's put it back with the actual source reverb, source of it. Yeah, so who's your favorite mixer, everybody? Who won? Gingerbread won for Trevor Horn. Oh, yeah, Trevor's the man.
Love it. Love it.
Yes, Ted. It's kind of a case of like, there's so many different plugins to listen to. It's just like getting the right one. You notice when I use a lot of the same stuff because I know it really, really well. So it's like I get into a situation where I'm like, oh, I need to try out different things. Okay, I'm gonna have a listen to this in the chorus.
Give me good loving. Good loving.
I like it. It's trashy. Oh, somebody said Hugh Padgham up there. Yeah, Tim. He fits all the things for me. Great engineer, great producer.
Give me good loving. Good loving. To give me good loving. Good love.
Oh yeah, Stephen Wilson's amazing. All right, I'm gonna listen from the top. I'm a gunner, as Eric would say. I'm a gonna listen from the top. I'm a gunner. So I'm gonna listen, and we're gonna see what we got.
Got me a woman who treats me right. Goes to work in the morning, leaves me loving at night. I've got me a bunny, she's sweeter than honey. She don't want no silver, she don't take my money. She don't take my money. She gives me good loving. Good loving. She give me good loving. Good loving. My baby don't mind if I stay out late. She's sweet and she's kind. She puts food on my plate. I know that she loves me the way that she does me. Sweet little angel, she kisses and she hugs me. She kisses and she hugs me. She gives me good loving. Good loving. She give me good loving. Good loving. She gives me good. Got me a woman who treats me right. Gives me all of her loving, both daily and night. I've got me a bunny, she's sweeter than honey. She don't want no silver, she don't take my money. She don't take my money. She don't take my money. She give me good.
pretty phenomenal. Oh, by the way, so I missed some super chat questions. I know I did say thanks to Clay who gave us. I probably bought our coffee. Thank you, Clay. Yeah. So I don't know what the other super chat ones. Unfortunately, could you let me know? I'd love to be able to answer those. So this is what I feel like. I feel like the mix is pretty darn good for me. The only thing that's happening is the snare is getting lost when he's smashing away on the cymbals. This is very, very typical of drummers. They're up here like doing this, and so that when they come down to play the cymbal, they don't quite have their fulcrum going. You know what I mean? They don't quite have the snap. They're playing like this, and as soon as they're up here, they're putting too much energy into the cymbals. And very typical, and this drummer's fantastic, and we did 3 albums, and what we worked on at every single one of those albums was that. By the way, I've just got to say it again. Unfortunately, we haven't got the second camera set up yet. When we have the second camera set up, we'll be able to have a roving camera. This Kaltatz chair is a lifesaver. You can't see it in the shot. But it's, yeah, I wouldn't pick it up because we'd never be able to like get it back down again. But it's so comfortable. Thank you, Kyle. For anybody like myself, and it was Eddie Kramer that, not Eddie Kramer, sorry, Eddie Cherney that turned me onto it. Anybody that does this for a living and sits in one position for hours and hours and hours, it is so beautiful to have a chair that's specifically designed for lumbar support. I mean, I can just sit back like this, and it's relaxing. Oh, God bless you, Carl Tats. Huge shout out. You know, anyway, whatever. I don't get an affiliate commission. There's no Amazon link to this one. I'm just telling you, when you get a product that's great, like we do with Lewitt, and anything we love, and it's great, and we use it all the time, we're going to champion it. That's enough just to be able to like help people out. So, and they're about half the price of the Herman Millers, and we have a Herman Miller. We have over there, which was always considered the most comfortable chair. But what's interesting is when Shelley was here the other day, Shelley Yakos, we had one of our other chairs, and he really loved it. He preferred it to. He didn't use this. He preferred it to the Herman Miller. And then he came back the other day and said, "What was that chair I was sitting on?" I was like, "Was it this one?" Eric looked at the video, found the chair that he was sitting on, and then when he left, we put it in the back of his car and he drove off with it. Because, like, the reason why I say that was like, yes, we're generous to give Shelley a chair, but don't forget, Shelley helps so many people and does it for free all the time. He's pretty amazing. That number one, there's that. But number two, I'm just illustrating. It's really a big deal when you find a chair that fits you. You're like, thank you. Because you've got to sit all day and you don't want to get backache from working. Anyway, enough about chairs. I'm really happy with the mix. Cymbals need to come down and the snare needs to come up in the choruses. We're going to do our last giveaway here. And now this one is for Brad Wood's course, but also not only is it for Brad Wood's course, it's for 1 year's free membership to the Academy. The arms do move on the Herman Miller, but this is more perfect for me. This chair, there's just everything about this. See, Carl Tats says, did you see my interview with him? He's a really good guitar player as well, and that's what he was. He was a guitar player, so he kind of gets it. He gets that it's an engineer's chair that you have to sit down for a long time, but also the way you sit, you can just sort of like lean forward, relax into it, get the lumbar support, and the guitar's not hitting the arms. He's just smart. He's just smart, and he did a really good job. Okay, so I'm going to do those changes. What do we need to know? And did you figure out what the super chat questions were, Eric?
One of them was to explain the use of lo-fi.
Oh, the lo-fi. The reason why I use the lo-fi is in particular with saturation in general. One of the first things it does, and also the MJUC does this, another reason why I love that plugin, is it distorts the high end first. So with room mics or overheads or hi-hats where it can be too bright, it distorts and folds in that high end. Highly recommend it. Okay, what was the other question?
The other one I do not know, unfortunately.
Okay, so if you can re-ask it, I'd love to. I don't want to. I know we answered. Clay just bought us a coffee. That's wonderful. Oh yes. Please hit the like button, as Jimmy's saying. Thank you ever so much, Jimmy, for saying that. Yes, if you could all hit the like button, that'd be amazing. Oh, there's a really, really Favorite album is Brother and Sister by Me Without You, mixed by Brad Wood. Oh, that's amazing. All right. That's a really good question. So 363 people watching. Please hit that like button. That would be absolutely amazing. And this is for our last giveaway. So the last giveaway will be for a 1-year free membership to the Academy and also a free course. And when you win it, just email support and make sure you send us a photo. It's always great to have a photo. Okay. You know what I want to know? What's your favorite album? That's an easy one. What's your favorite album? I'm interested to see what Matt chooses because it's done it once. Tim says you can only like once. Go on, try it. Try it again. What is your favorite album? Can you let us know what your favorite album is? And please hit that like button. What is your favorite album? And while we're doing that, I am going to turn down these overheads and see if they're what's splashing up and bring up the snare in the choruses. Ohad says Backstreet Boys. There you go. The Wall, Pink Floyd. Very nice. What's interesting, it says Backstreet Boys was held for a review. YouTube has taste. It said held for review. That's hilarious. Night at the Opera, says Jason. I'm not choosing. Don't try to influence me. But I do agree with that. And also The Wall I agree with as well. Rush 2112. Welcome to the cruise, Judy Zook. Wow, look at you. Dark Side of the Moon, High Voltage, Zap 2, Revolver the Beatles, Abbey Road, Peter Gabriel, Secret World of Grey Albums, Abbey Road, Dream Theater, Monster Magnet. Oh, Matt's on the spot here to choose. So there's a lot of bleed on the cymbals, and we've got to identify where it's coming from. So the ride's providing a lot of bleed there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to automate that down. So, but only a little bit. And it's going to be more about bringing the snare up. I don't want to lose the total energy of it. That's also very, very important. You know, it's great to, oh, by the way, not cut to a click. Did you notice that? This is not cut to a click. Hence why the grid isn't working. For those of you who noticed that, you cannot grid this because it wasn't cut to a click. So I don't want to bring them down too much because I think that would be really naive and get rid of some of the energy. So all I'm going to do is just go in and turn them down like, I don't know, a couple of dB. Probably the ride a little bit more because I think it's a little excessive. Okay, so just a schnizzle. Okay, so it's come down a bit. Now remember, these are going through 2 buses. Who won? I didn't watch. Oh, Mars Volta. Wow, that's cool. Ooh, Matt, you're cool. Matt's cool, everybody. He chose Mars Volta. Remember, this is done at complete random, so that's why everybody has a chance to win. That's cool. Matt's basically saying, I'm cooler than you guys. Just want to let you know I'm cooler. Okay, Matt, you're cooler. All right, so now let's take the snare. So I'm just going to bring that up 2 dB. Let's have a listen now. Hear it in context, of course, because that's all that matters. Oink, Floyd. Oh no, I remember at both at the drive-in and of course Miles Volta very well. They used to rehearse at my old studio, and they were rehearsing in my old studio when the Chili Peppers were in the room next door, and they became friends. And then the Chili's took them on the road, which was really wonderful. The Chili Peppers are a band of very incredible taste. I remember doing pre-production with them years and years ago, and they were very eclectic and huge fans of music. I was talking to Michael Beinhorn about Mother's Milk, you know, and of course, you know, just like the experiences of working with that band. Because when I first heard Mofo Party Plan as a kid, I just remember being, wow. Go back and listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers' Mofo Party Plan. I mean, that and Mother's Milk, but particularly Mofo Party Plan, it's just everything you want in a band. It's like a rock band playing funk with punk and a guy that's kind of rapping and singing. It was like everything. When I was a kid and you heard that, you were just like, this was music. It was like so like exciting. And I remember thinking, this is Los Angeles. Mofo Party Plan just was Los Angeles. And talking to Michael about it, he's like, yeah, they were the most LA band. They really were LAB. They were proper LA street band. And let's not forget that the Chili Peppers obviously now have had a 40-year career or something like that, 30 or 40-year career. So they're, you know, they're like the elder statesmen of rock now, obviously. And, you know, I hear people going, oh, you know, they haven't changed. You know what? They changed music. Mofo Party Plan was unfreaking believable record. Go back and listen to that and try to remember the context. There was bands like that. There was bands from LA that were just unbelievable, that just had like they just changed everything that everything about music. It's just Red Cross as well. Do you know Red Cross? Go back and listen to Red Cross. You know, just unbelievable. For me, it was like the bands from that period were Bad Brains, Red Cross, and of course the Chili Peppers were the three LA bands that I heard and were just like, wow, this is incredible. There was all the big hair metal and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, that was great. I loved it. But they were bands that were really, really exciting. I saw Bad Brains at the Marquee in like let's just say I was very young. I was 15 or 16 years old, and I got into the Marquee. I didn't have it. In those days, they just said, how old are you? And you went, 18. And that's how you got into a club. So I was 18, you know, pretending to be 18 years old. I was 15 or 16 years old. Bad Brains, Marquee, and it was like the biggest, one of the most exciting shows I've ever seen in my life. I think I was 16 because I think I left because I left home at 16. I think I'd already left home. Anyway, so I get into this show, and all I remember is the band started playing, and there was no singer, and it was like just this super fast metal, funk, reggae music, like metal, funk, and reggae mixed together in like 19 before anybody was doing that, and they were amazing. And then the singer HR just came from the side of stage, from stage left. He came cartwheeling over and landed like feet down with a mic and just started going for it. And I'm like 16 years old, like, wow. All I can say is like early 80s in LA, those bands, Bad Brains, Red Cross, and the Chili Peppers. Go listen to Chili's first couple of albums. Absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I just love music, and I love all kinds of music, as you know. I may well be the world's biggest Queen fan, but at the same time, you can really understand what was amazing about those bands and why they changed music so well. It was great, and it was a great injection into like music. You know, it was a great kind of energy and excitement to bring all of those elements like punk and funk at the same time, and metal, and then just inject it and just create this whole new exciting sound. You know, I was really excited about moving to LA when I did, even though it was like 10 years later. I was excited because I knew I was coming to a place that had all of these roots and these incredible bands. All right, everybody, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you ever so much. Please leave a bunch of comments and questions below. Go back and check out Shelley's video from yesterday. If you haven't hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it if you did hit the like button. It means a lot, really does. You know, all of these wonderful comments and everything, and the amount of positive stuff is really amazing. If you're not already a member of the Academy, go check it out. You can download these multi-tracks and about 50 others. I think we're about 50 multi-tracks now. The community is huge. It's really supportive. It's an amazing place. Love you all. Thank you ever so much. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.